Clinton regrets calling Trump supporters deplorable. U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton has apologized for calling half of Donald Trump's supporters deplorable people. But the Democrat launched a furious attack on her Republican opponent and promised to keep fighting bigotry and racist rhetoric. Mr. Trump had responded by saying the comment was insulting to millions of amazing, hard-working people. Opinion poll suggests Mr. Trump is gaining on Mrs. Clinton. The rivals are neck and neck in the key battleground states of Ohio and Florida. Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables comments have drawn immediate comparisons to Mitt Romney's 2012 line about 47% of Americans on government dole supporting Barack Obama and Mr. Obama's 2008 characterization of downtrodden Pennsylvanians as clinging to guns and religion. Unlike those noted gaffes, however, it is not clear how Mrs. Clinton's public remarks will directly damage her. She is certainly unlikely to peel off any of Donald Trump's supporters by calling some of them racists or homophobes, but they have stuck by their man through thick and thin. Mrs. Clinton's own backers likely agree with her description. The only question is how the sizable chunk of undecided voters view the controversy. They had started to move toward Mrs. Clinton after the Democratic convention, but are recently back up in the air, or aligning with a third party. They may take exception to Mrs. Clinton's calling fully half of all Trump supporters, millions of Americans, deplorable, which is why she has walked back this portion of her comments. If the debate turns over how many of Mr. Trump's backers are overtly racist or bigoted, however, that is political terrain the Democrat will gladly fight on. What she said on Friday speaking at a fundraiser in New York, Mrs. Clinton said, to just be grossly generalistic, you can put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Unfortunately, there are people like that. And he has lifted them up. They were, she told the LGBT event, racist, sexist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. The rest of the Republican nominee supporters, according to Mrs. Clinton, were just desperate for a change. How the Republicans reacted in his tweeted response, Mr. Trump said, I think it will cost her at the polls. Mr. Trump's running mate, Mike Pence, said, they are not a basket of anything. They are Americans and they deserve your respect. Reince Priebus, head of the Republican National Committee, said Mrs. Clinton had shown her outright contempt for ordinary people. Millions of Americans, he said, supported the Republican nominee because they were sick of corrupt career politicians like Hillary Clinton. Other Republicans mocked Mrs. Clinton, sharing photos of the crowd in the Florida venue, where Mr. Trump spoke on Friday. The hashtag #basket of deplorables has been trending on social media, as indignant Republicans attack Mrs. Clinton. A candidate who writes off half the country as a #basket of deplorables should be disqualified was one comment on Twitter. This